Hello everybody and welcome to ShowX's review of Chronology. So this is a game that is brought to us by Osao Games, and they are a company based in Aalborg, Denmark. So this is a interesting game where it's a puzzle type game, much in the venue of kind of the Braid or something like that, in that it's as their description says, it's a mind-bending mix of puzzle, adventure, and platform, where you defy time by manipulating the past and the future in order to fix the present. So, this is a game that it is a puzzler, action game, platformer, where you jump around and you work as this old man, an inventor, who is able to, through a watch he finds, although he doesn't remember his past or the events that happened to the world around him, he's able to manipulate time between the past and the present, or essentially before and after. And you can see the changes in the world and how that affects it. It's a puzzle game, and so you can see there's little things that will go on where you can actually, at a whim, and transfer back and forth in time. And do little things like, in this case, filling a bucket of water to feed the thirsty plant. Which then, in the future, because that's the before time frame, the plant is now this big, happy, lush plant, and then you can use it to do other things in the world, and you can kind of see how the puzzle aspect works out to do other aspects. And just in the scene shown here, how I go through and I'm going and picking up the shell that was hidden in the tree and running into your snail companion, which also has a mechanic to him with time, whereas the old man is able to switch between those past and present times. The snail is able to, instead of just moving back, instead of just changing between those times, is able to actually stop time. And you use that to go through and do other puzzles in the game, and you work together. And it's neat because you have control over both characters. And as the old man, the inventor, you're able to summon the snail back to you. And so as you manipulate the snail to make it so that you can get through different jumping puzzles, things like that, you can then bring the snail to you. He's able to teleport wherever you call him, although those areas where the snail can't make it to those areas and make it to that location, so you have to do it yourself. Overall, this game has really been entertaining to play. Very whimsical. I love art style like this where it looks that 2D hand-drawn kind of thing versus, digital effects. And it could all be digital, but it has that hand-drawn look. It's well narrated and just kind of has a feel of what you see from a lot of newer indie games where they're not these big three-dimensional action-packed shooting games and such, but instead they're just really good platformers. Kind of in the, harkening back to the old NES days and things like that, but much prettier, much better just to enjoy as a whole. There's an overall storyline going through it where you get to look at kind of what has happened to this world as the inventor is going through to figure out what changed in the past and some things that have been altered based on a friend of his that helped him originally develop some of the science. And it's got some great cutscenes that show you some of the storyline. There's a bit of mind-bending definitely involved in the process. I know that I've run into some issues where I got stuck on some puzzles much longer than I thought I would have, where I had no understanding of what I was supposed to do, or I had an understanding, but I maybe didn't see the object in the world to help me identify that was something I needed to do. In most cases, you can see where there are little sparkles or things around items in the game that you can either manipulate or that serve some kind of purpose. And it's just something that they do a pretty darn good job with it, but I found myself stuck in multiple places where for a minute or multiple minutes I just had no idea what I was supposed to do. And I will say, much like Portal or other puzzle games, I think that's a good thing. That they don't just hand feed you every puzzle in the game, that instead it's about really discovering and finding out what's going on in the world around you and learning the story and slowly introducing you to new concepts of how you use the time manipulation and your snail companion to get through the different challenges. And so I believe they did a really good job of balancing it into the gameplay and making it feel like a quick action-y puzzler, where I'm playing it on the PC with just the keyboard. You don't even need a mouse, arrow keys, and your A, W, and E keys really for the primary controls, and it works really, really well. Great responsiveness, great look and feel to the game. Nothing I found that was buggy or anything wrong with it. So I think this is a lot of fun. Now, granted, with that fun, I do have a concern though, and that's mostly because I've only played the game for a little bit of time. But in that little bit of time, it felt like I've just progressed so quickly through the puzzles that I am concerned with how long the overall game is. Now, that's not to say that it's a game that's too short, because I really don't know what the length is. But just in looking through the initial menu that shows how it shows all the different chapters that you can participate in, that it makes me think like I've already gotten almost to the end of the game. Maybe that's just the press release, and if so, that's great. I would like to spend more than just a few hours in this world. And so I'm looking forward to this game being released May 12th for the PC on Steam. Chronology from Osao Games. There we go. Regular price $10, USD $9.99. And so for that price point, I mean, it's a little indie game, but I really hope that it has more length and depth to what I've just seen in it, because I've really enjoyed my time playing with it. So if you're into puzzlers and you love that aesthetic of kind of that 2D look of things, I definitely suggest you check out Chronology from Osao Games.